our speaker had to step back, and so I'm just kind of picking this up today. So please forgive any last minute anythings. I pulled this together literally this morning. But that said, I literally spend easily 20 hours a week training on this right now. And I have been for a while, and I will continue to do that. So while the presentation may be last minute, the content and the thoughts are definitely not. That said, I really was thinking about what we could cover today, and I thought it would be really nice just to kind of talk about what Copilot Chat is and help you guys understand how to get more out of Copilot Chat, which is the free included version, right? Let's not call it free, because everybody likes to call it free. There really is a free version. If you go out to Bing, or you go out, you just get on Windows, there is a free version. But I really like to think of this as kind of this included version for anybody who has Microsoft 365. And it's a little bit easier to think about it that way. Also, I like calling it Copilot Chat, because that way it's kind of like Chat GPT, right? So like it kind of like rings the same bell for some people, as people are asking you, well, wait, which one? I find putting the term chat involved in the naming kind of like connects the dots. And it's like, I tell people Copilot Chat, kind of like Chat GPT, right? So that way it kind of connects the dots. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks. I'm going to give you some information, hopefully help you chat a little bit better in general. And at the same time, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. I would love this to be as much of a discussion as it is a presentation. Feel free to pop it in chat. I've got chat open, so I'll keep an eye on chat. Raise your hand if you'd like to maybe ask a question or come off mute, or just, come off mute and be like, hey, yo, Sharon, I have a thought, and I will be like, sure, let's hear it. All right. Any of those work perfectly fine. So that said, on with the show. Little tiny bit about me. My name is Sharon Weaver. I do run Women in M365, along with the fantastic help of some other ladies that are on this call, like Rachel and Kathy, and I think I saw some other people hopping in. I've been in technology my entire career. Honestly, I've been getting paid in technology for 30 years this year, so it's been a few minutes. And I have collected a few Microsoft certifications along the way, and a few Microsoft titles along the way. And I kind of jokingly say this just means that I spend a lot of time hanging out with Microsoft peoples. It's as much of a hobby as it is anything else. And so I really enjoy kind of figuring out how to get more out of the Microsoft software than maybe it comes with at face value, right? I'm always trying to figure out how to get more out of it. All right, so let's get our neurons warmed up a little bit as we're talking about Copilot Chat. Yes, if you're doing a drinking game or a bingo game, there's your first mention of AI in the presentation. That's how it is these days, right? Square one marked off. All right. So why AI matters for modern work, and check it out. I've combined both AI and modern work in the same sentence. That's because I kind of like to jokingly say that modern work is not so modern anymore, right? Now modern work has evolved into this kind of AI conversation. And so we have to really think about it that way. AI, the invention and the production and the implementation and the growth of AI is really not just a tool set. It's legitimately changing the way that we think, the way we work, the way we write, most importantly, the way that we solve problems, which is fascinating to me, because one of the things I don't have on my little intro slide most of the time is I do have a degree in developmental psychology. And I am fascinated by how people think and why they do what they do and how they kind of figure things out. And the really interesting thing for me around the AI tool set is that it's changing the way that people approach problem solving, which is just phenomenal, right? So it's bigger, it's badder, it's more intense than just having a tool set that's going to search for things, right? There's more to it than that. On top of that, the pace of change around the AI tool set, it's not just going at full speed like kind of modern work was quick, right? Like I remember when modern work hit, and we went from I can access Word online, right, to the modern work, go to the browser to do all of the things. And overnight, people were like, wait, that changed yesterday and I missed it. I was training, right? I was training Office 365 when it all rolled out, when things hit. And I just remember being prepared for things and I showed up. And I remember the first time that I showed up to deliver training on Office 365 and I did all my prep work, I don't know, 48 hours in advance, like a reasonable, sane person does. And then I pull it up and legitimately the entire interface had changed in 48 hours. And I was like, wait, what just happened? Right. And that first time you kind of get smacked upside the head with this change and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Right. And from that point on, I was like, all right, this is how it's going to be. This is how it's going to be. Right. It's going to change every single minute of every single day. So now, legitimately, I do prep in advance, but legitimately, I have 30 minutes that I block before any training that I deliver to double check and make sure that no drastic things have happened in the last 30 minutes, right? Yeah, exactly, Beth, right? Check it 5 minutes before. But what we learned over the last, and I want to say like 6 years or so, like it was right around the pandemic, right? Is because it's a really good like little notch in time. Right around the last 6 or 7 years, things have been just changing almost more quickly than we can keep up with. Now, I'm going to scare the bejesus out of you for a little bit for just like one slide, and then we're going to get back to normal. The pace is faster for AI than it was for modern work. All right. So if you thought that it was quick for modern work for the last 6 to 7 years, buddy, hold on to your hats. All right. It's about to get faster because what we're seeing is day to day to day to day. It's really crazy to me. It's like, hey, this really cool thing is out there. People are started working at it. And then the next day it's like, yeah, you don't have to do that anymore. What? What is happening? It is literally that fast. All right. So the pace of change is accelerating is like the understatement of the century. And so here's where I'm going to say that this is the first thing people ask me. Okay, Sharon, then what do I do? What in the heck do I do to stay relevant if it's changing so fast I can't keep up with it? And if any of you guys are like me where I can see retirement. It's like right over yonder hills. I'm like, am I done yet? Like, I love what I do. I'm not leaving the industry, but I can kind of see a world where I don't sit and work 9 to 5 anymore, right? But I'm like, okay, how do I hang on from here to there? How do I keep up with all this? And so here's what I'm going to tell you. Staying curious is going to give you an edge, all right? And here's why. The one thing that AI cannot do is think for you. I know you think it can. It acts like it fakes you out. It makes you believe that it can, but it can't. All right? It can't ideate from your brain. Your brain is still so much better, so much faster, and so much more complex. Now, we can come back and talk about this in 5 years, and that might be a different conversation. But for today, you still have a gigantic edge on everything that's out there. All right. So stay curious, keep looking at what's going on, understand where your true value lies, understand what makes you different, what makes you better, what makes you unique, right? What value do you provide? Because ultimately, you do not need to be technical to benefit from AI. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, it's a technical thing. I need to stay on, all this technical stuff." You don't. I'm telling you right now. Like you could literally just master chat and get tons of benefit out of it without any of the rest of it. All right? The last thing that I want to tell you is start now because the stakes are really low. All right? You feel like everybody's talking about AI because it's being marketed to you and because this small group of people is very, very into it. But I promise you, if you looked at like an actual report or an actual chart, like an actual graph, it's like this many people. Teeny, 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 tiny, tiny, right? So don't feel you're like, dude, I've already missed the boat. It's already started. It's already over. I'm not going to learn anything. You're absolutely wrong. All right. We are at the very, 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 very tip, very beginning. So the stakes are really low. So start now, understand what's happening, build your skills. And ultimately, what's going to happen is we're going to start working different, thinking different, and being different as a result of AI. All right, so that said, hopefully your brain cells are all warmed up now. Here's the thing about Copilot Chat, all right? There is no additional license required. There is a free version that you can access. There is also the version that's in M365. If you have a Microsoft account, you got it. All right. Microsoft loves some Copilot. So, like, if you got a Microsoft account, you got it. All right. You're in. All right. You can access it by going to copilot.microsoft.com or anywhere that you see the little Copilot symbol throughout any of the stack. If you see the little Copilot symbol, click on it, you got it. All right. Here's what's really cool and a lot of people don't understand is that Copilot Chat, people are like, yeah, but Sharon, Copilot Chat sucks. I need the paid version. You do not. I'm telling you right now. Like, I'm not saying you don't need the paid version. Paid version is pretty cool. You do not need the paid version to use Copilot Chat in the same way because, ta-da, it's the same model behind the scenes. Okay? The only difference is that it's not embedded in the apps. You know what that means? You're going to have to drag and drop your Excel file into chat instead of opening Excel and then typing there. All right, it's really not that big of a difference. So if you want to do something in chat and you want to do it in Excel, you want to do PowerPoint, you want to do work, it's really easy. You just give the file to Copilot Chat and then on with the show you go. So you get the same model, you get the same information, you get the same experience. It's just not embedded in the app. All right. So here's what I want you to think about it as. I want you to start thinking about Copilot like your personal thinking partner. All right. A lot of you guys have heard the terms like body doubling, or if you've done, like work calls where you've got a group on there and everybody's kind of working together. In the olden days, back when we used to sit in an office with a bunch of people around us, which I know some of you guys are still in offices, but some of you aren't, right? We used to sit with our group around us, type, 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 type. Hey, I have a question. Type, 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 type. Hey, what do you think of this? Right? That kind of thing. That doesn't exist as much anymore, but you can use Copilot for that. So like every single time you feel the need to like yell over your shoulder to your friend, just be like, yo, Copilot, what do you think of this? How do you feel about this? Can you help me rewrite this? Right? Those types of things. Think about it like your personal kind of assistant, partner, helper that's just kind of hanging around for you. If you think about it that way, it's going to change the way you look at it. I know so many people who look at it and they think, oh, it's just another fancy search tool. I promise you, Copilot is horrible at search. That's not its benefit, right? You laugh because you know it's true. All right. It's not its strength. Like, we want people to go to their strengths, and that is not Copilot's strengths. What Copilot's strengths are is helping us, right? Ideate, brainstorm, answer questions. The search comes with it, but that's not what we're looking for. So it's not just a fancy search tool. All right. What it is it's this included AI assistant. You know what it's great at? Brainstorming, drafting, researching. It has access to the internet in most organizations, right? As long as nobody turned it off. But it also has access to your prompts. So everything you've told it, everything you've given it, everything you've asked it. So much like somebody that you work with, like a coworker, when you build that tribal knowledge with your coworker, we talk about that as, tacit knowledge, is this idea of like, we've got the shared experience. The more that you work with it, the more that you talk to it, the more that you give it that information and ask it questions, the more it's going to get to know you. And the more that it's going to help you to think through problems, answer questions, look things up. All right. So that's what it is. Now, the unpaid version, all right, the included version, the free version is not connected to your M365 file. So we think about what is the value of the paid license, right? This is one of the biggest values, is that it is immediately connected to all your work files. That's the paid license, all right? The Copilot chat version, which is the free or included version, is not connected. It is not the paid Microsoft 365 Copilot license. Most importantly, it is not a replacement for you. I have been doing a ton of training lately, especially for leadership, and I've been doing a lot of AI is here to augment us, not replace us. And the more you realize that, the more you're going to hang on to what you've got, because the more you can use AI to make you better, the longer you're going to stick around in that particular role, because you're going to make yourself worth keeping no matter what. So we want AI to augment us, not replace us. And ultimately, the thing to remember is that it is not perfect. And that is the understatement of the century, right? But here's the thing. A lot of people are like, well, if it's not perfect, then why bother using it? Hey, guys, I'm going to let you in on a secret. Your coworker is also not perfect. And when you shout over your shoulder, hey, remember that thing we did last Friday? What was it we do again? Good odds they're going to give you the wrong answer. All right? Good odds. Okay? So before you start getting too hard on Copilot about not knowing all the answers, just understand people make mistakes too. All right? So you're going to double check. And if you shout over your shoulder, hey, what was that thing we did last week? And they're like this, you're like, that was 100% wrong. Much like Copilot, your friend is going to be like, oh yeah, you're right. I forgot. Okay, so you're going to get a similar experience. It's not always going to be perfect. You're going to have to like help it to learn. Always, 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 always check your outputs. Always review, always verify anything that comes out of it. Yes, absolutely, Kathy. You can absolutely ask Copilot for its sources. It will tell you where it got it. And you can also tell it to use specific sources and say, hey, don't forget, use this, this, and this, and it'll add it to the list of sources that it uses. All right, so just a little bit of a recap. Copilot Chat has access to the web, can be an AI conversation tool, does not access your file, and does not work inside the app. All right, this is the big difference between the license. This is the number one question I get asked is what's the difference? And it's these things right here, but let's be really honest, it can't access your files directly, but you sure can give it a file if you want it to do something for you or look in it. It does not work inside your app, but it does open right next to it. So you can use it as a chat tool while you're working in your app, and then you can copy and paste it right in. All right. Okay. So that said, if there's any questions, feel free to pop them in chat. Sorry, I'm used to training. I'm used to my stopping to ask questions. I do like this prompt framework, and there's lots of different prompt frameworks out there, but I really like this one. I always talk a lot about when you're going to use chat, when you're going to talk to chat. And as we go through the session, if you try some of these techniques, you're going to find that, wait a minute, that's working a lot better than it used to work. Well, yeah, because if you like program it the right way, it tends to work. So I always like to say, what's going on? All right, what's the situation that we're trying to what's the problem we're solving for? What are we trying to accomplish? What's going on, right? If you tell Copilot Chat what's going on, kind of like you tell your friend what's going on, that's like, oh, hey, thanks for letting me know, right? I'm under a deadline, or I'm working on this thing, or I'm headed out of town next week. Like, give it the context. It needs the context, because remember, it doesn't have the context. It cannot read your mind any more than your friends can. All right, give it the context. Then tell it who you need it to be. All right, you can't do this with your friends, right? I'm gonna turn to Rachel one day and be like, Rachel, I need you to be a senior executive marketing guru, and I need you to present me with information. And Rachel's gonna be like, that's nice. Call somebody else. Right? Your friends can't do this. All right, but guess what? Copilot can. All right, so you tell Copilot who you need it to be. Anything from a role to a title. I even use people, celebrities, right? You want Tony Robbins as your professional coach? Dude, act like Tony Robbins, right? It's going to go out and it's going to find things he said and done. All right. Now, it's not exactly the same as having a human right there, but it definitely will act that way. So who should your AI be? And I think about things like, if I need, a consultant that can come in and help me with marketing advice, or I need a financial advisor, or I need a business advisor, or I need a writing coach, or, whatever it is that you need help with, who are they acting as? Give them a title, right? So tell Copilot who it should act like. Once you've given it some context on what you need, now what are you asking it to do? All right. What kind of task are you asking it to deliver? Are you asking it to write you an email? Are you asking it to create a Word document? Are you asking it to create an outline for training, which I do all the time because it's fantastic at that, especially now that it's done it 475 billion times. It's like, dude, I got you. You want this one or this one? And I'm like, I want that one. It's like, cool, let's go. All right. The more you do it, the more it's going to be situationally aware. Yeah, Kathy.
Can you actually get it to do a Word doc? Because I've gone back and forth. At times, I seem to be able to get it to do one. And then other times, it's like it'll just spit out the stuff, and then I have to copy and paste it into Word.
For the most part, as long as I'm extremely explicit and I tell it. So like what I do is I tell it what to do, what information I want, I get it the way I want it, and then I say, please export this to a Word doc.
Yeah, I haven't always been able to get it to do that. So I don't know if it's
Mm.
just different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah, I don't know. Mine, I'm not going to say it's 100% of the time, but I would say easily 75 to 80% of the time, if I follow that, it tends to work.
Okay.
Beth?
If
I was
someone
gonna
else isn't
say,
getting it to work, you're not allowed.
no, I was going to say, we've also sent it to Pages, and you,
Mhm.
from there you can create a Word document.
Yes. Yes, that's a
So it's a
great
little
tip.
shortcut.
That is a great
Just
tip. If you're not using
just
Copilot Pages, it's super helpful.
discovered it recently while I was doing
Yeah.
a demo of Loop. I was like, oh, look, you can do this now.
You can
Yeah, it's
also
awesome.
share it. So this is
Yeah.
actually something that a lot of places ask me. They're like, can I share this history? You cannot share a chat history, but you can share a Copilot page with other people. So if you go in and you do it and you apply it to that page, like send it to the page, you can then share the page, print the page, do things with the page. It's really cool. Yeah, so Copilot Pages is a great tip. So the last two parts of this are I look at these as like refiners. So the first three are like requireds, right? What's the situation? Who do I need you to be and what do I need you to do are requireds. And then this last two is like refiners. All right. So once I've created my content, once I've gotten my answer back, then I might say, oh, yeah, by the way, right? Because this is like we're having a conversation with our friend. We're like, hey, I want to go to lunch today. Context. I'm not sure what I should eat. By de facto, you're telling your friend, can you be a decision maker? Can you give me advice on restaurants, right? Do you have any advice on what restaurant we should go eat at lunch, right? I've done this at context role task. That's what I've done to my friend, right? Here's the situation. I need you to be a decision maker or advisor to me, and I want you to help me pick lunch, right? I've done those three things. And your friend goes, well, I think we should go to Taco Bell, right? And then I add a constraint like, oh, hey, I just want to remind you, I don't eat Taco Bell, like ever. I just don't do it. All right. Which is a true statement. Don't eat Taco Bell. All right. So, I provide these constraints, right? We do this in humans. We just don't think about it. So I do the same thing. Like I'll ask a question, I'll tell it what I need, and then I'll go back and be like, by the way, here's any constraints that I might have, right? And it's like, oh, okay, let me think about it a little bit more, right? It'll give me a little bit more information. And then when it's all done, to Kathy's point, if I want to then output it to an email, to a Word doc, to something, a PowerPoint presentation, whatever I'm doing, then I'm going to decide what kind of tone I need, right? So now I've got this information. And if I'm sending a chat to one of my friends, I might say, oh, yeah, can you just write up a quick message with some emojis and I'll shoot it over to my friends. I want to invite a handful of friends to lunch. Just let me send it over. As opposed to, I would like to send a formal email out to the board of directors to invite them out to a formal lunch. As opposed to, I want to post this on a social media platform because I want to let people know that we're going to be doing maybe a women in tech luncheon and it's going to, I have a little bit different output for it. So that tone and format, once you've kind of filtered, and I look at this as kind of like, it's kind of like starting here and filtering it down. I get my answer and then I can kind of do what I want with it. Another way that I really like to think about my prompt framework is that I like to think about it like soup. Okay, so you're women, you get this. All right. So we're seasoning the soup. Okay. Every chat is a brand new pot of soup. Every chat. And you get to pick what seasoning you put in that pot. Now, the problem is if you mix too many seasonings in there, you mix too many flavors in there, what happens? It gets kind of gross. You're like, do I really need cinnamon and curry and garlic and basil and right? You just keep going. Eventually, you're like, okay, too many flavors, right? So Copilot chat is exactly the same way, right? You start with kind of these are your base ingredients, and then you're going to taste the soup as you go along. And well, it needs a little tiny bit more of something, so I'm going to give it a constraint. It needs a little tiny bit more of something, so I'm going to give it a little bit of tone, right? So we're seasoning our soup as we go. And the key to this is keep it all in one chat. All right. If you try to go out to multiple chats, if you try to cross chats, kind of like Ghostbusters, don't cross the streams, right? Don't cross the chats. That's what I need a t-shirt. That's what I need to make, Rachel. I need to make a t-shirt that says don't cross the chats, and it's got the Ghostbusters thing. That'd be hilarious. So keep this filter to where you bring in the information and then you're kind of refining it. You're kind of seasoning the soup as you go. All right. So for example, make sure I'm on the right slides. All right. All right. So for example, a lot of people like to do this and then they get frustrated and they tell me Copilot sucks. Nice. Copilot sucks because I wrote this prompt that says write me an email. And it's like, okay. Like, think about if I tell my buddy, can you write me an email? It's like, sure, what would you like it to say? I know nothing about you or what you're thinking at this moment, because again, I cannot read your mind. Instead, if you say something like, hey, I'm a project manager, I'm sending status updates, can you write me an email that summarizes this information? And then you're like, well, I could have written the email by now if I'd have wrote this long of a prompt. All right. The key here is we're telling it the context, we're telling it who we are, we're telling it what to do. As you season multiple chats with the same seasoning, you're going to start figuring out that Copilot's going to be like, wait, I know that you like cinnamon. Every single time you put cinnamon. I think going forward, I might just start adding some cinnamon in every single batch because I know you like it. All right, so it's going to figure out the flavors that you like. The other thing you could do is up in Copilot. I'm going to show you this. I've got my little demo open so you can see this. Watch this. All right, I'm in Copilot, which by the way is just office.com. All right, or copilot.microsoft.com. Did you know that if you go up here to these three dots and you click these settings under personalization, you can go here to these custom instructions and you can give it custom instructions that will tell it exactly how to season your soup so that you don't have to say it every single time. Yes, Kathy, sometimes it gets really excited because it knows you like cinnamon, so put cinnamon in all the things. You're like, hey, I want this batch to be cinnamon free, thanks. You're absolutely right. So what I do to kind of solve for that problem is I go into these custom instructions. And if you want a really good example of how this works, you can say, this is my favorite little trick to practice with this. Please respond in every chat with a limerick. What's really fun about this shows you exactly how much these instructions work, is I can save these instructions. It says, okay, I got you, girl. Now, if I go to make a new chat, I'm going to refresh just to be safe. Make sure it heard me. And I'm going to say, can you tell me what color the sky is? I'm going to ask a very generic question. And the key is, I do this to prove a point, right? I do this to prove a point because if you change those instructions to your defaults of what you want to do, instead of having to type it every single time, you can pre-season every batch of soup just the way you like. So if you're a project manager, you could put, my role is a project manager. If you have a certain way you want it to respond to you, you can do that. If you like it in a certain way, I have many of my AI assistants. I like everything in bullet points, guys. I don't got time to read a 4-page novel. If you guys have ever used ChatGPT, it will try to write it like it goes on and on and on and on and on. I'm like, I don't got time for this. I'm like, just give me the bullet points. All right. So my instructions on pretty much everything say, I just want bullet points. Keep it under a certain character count. Do not write me a novel. I don't want it. So again, that's up here on Copilot Chat on the 3 dots under settings, under personalization, and it's custom instructions. All right, you can tell it, these are the seasonings that I always want with every single chat. And you do not ever have to type those again if you don't want to, because it will remember automatically for you. And then once I take them out and I do another chat, it'll change it for every single chat going forward. So it's a really nice little handy way of baking this gigantically long piece of information into it so that you don't have to retype it every single time. All right. So speaking of strong prompts, again, remember, we're going to give it context, who we want it to be, what the task is, and then any refiners. So in that case, maybe where it's already going to know the context because they're already given it context and instructions. Maybe we're having it act as a certain role on a pretty regular basis. So we're going to put that in the instructions for every conversation going forward, unless we tell it to change. And then we just have to tell it what we need it to do and any refiners. All right, so here's a couple of different examples of things that you can use it for. Maybe you've thought of it, maybe you haven't. All right, so things like status updates are really super helpful. Like nobody ever wants to have to write another status update as long as they live. So if you just feed it the information and say, look, this is what I worked on, can you please write me a status update for my boss? It'll be like, yeah, I got you. Copy, paste, done. All right, difficult conversations. Difficult conversations and difficult communication is a really great way to use Copilot. If you're not entirely sure if the tone that you have in a message is clear enough, is kind enough, is explanatory enough, whatever it is that you're trying to do, you can say, hey, look, I need to do this and I just need a little, little help with saying it the right way. It works out really, really well. Communications, tons and tons of great ways to use this for communication. You can, tell it what tone you want. You can tell it what audience you're speaking to. You can tell it, how short or how long. I have to fill out forms all ding dang day long. And I'm just like, I'll write something and then I'll put it in. And don't you have the dreaded, you paste it into a form and it's like, this can only be 3,000 characters. You're like, So then I put it in I'll pop it in Copilot Chat. I'm like, can you reduce this to 3,000 characters, please? And it's like, sure. Done. I don't have to add it. I don't have to put it into Word and open the little character count. I don't have to think, do I really need this word? No, maybe I could take that word out. No, maybe I'll change it to this other word. Right? It'll do it for you. It's fantastic. The other thing is follow-ups, guys. Meetings and notes and follow-ups and tasks and all this craziness around project management. Take your unstructured, crazy notes out of OneNote or Notepad. If my husband's a huge Notepad person, right? Type all those random notes in there. Literally try this next time. Just like take notes like rando. Like I don't even care. Like don't try to be organized. Just be like this thing and that thing. And they said this and do this. Copy and paste it and throw it in a Copilot. Be like, okay, here's all my unstructured crazy notes from this last call. Can you please turn this into something that makes sense? And it'll be like, there you go. You found this out. They said this, and here's what you need to do about it. And by the way, would you like me to write this out in tasks with steps so that you can get it done? I'm like, yes, I would. All right. So it turns that unstructured data that's in your head into doing things. Yes, Jennifer, I'm going to tell you what. Okay. I don't push Microsoft licensing. I've spent my entire career telling people how to get more out of Microsoft licensing, but I will tell you right now, the Teams premium licensing and the Copilot paid licensing together are the best money you will ever spend in your entire life. Because you are absolutely right. You do the Teams recap and the AI notes and it's amazing. Worth every penny. All right. Another big thing that I really like to use Copilot for is planning and brainstorming. So there's this fancy word all over the internet called ideation. Now, okay, it's kind of like, we don't use charts and graphs anymore, guys. We're more sophisticated. We call them visualizations. All right, we don't call them charts and graphs. We call them visualizations. We don't call it brainstorming anymore. We don't call it brainstorming. We call it ideation. It makes us sound sophisticated. All right. So if you want to sound sophisticated on your resumes or on your speaker profiles, you ideate. You don't brainstorm. All right. So Copilot chat, fantastic at planning and brainstorming and ideating. So if you're like, okay, I need to do this and I have no idea the 764 tasks that I got to do to make this happen because nobody does, tell it. Be like, hey, I need to plan this thing. Here's the details I know. Can you help me get started with this? And I'll be like, sure, let me help you. So if I take something like this is all I know, right? And I pop it into a brand new chat. It likes to, whenever I copy and paste, it likes to throw the image in there, which isn't a horrible thing, but I just don't want to have the extra space. So I've got this super duper simple thing. Now, remember my prompt guidelines. If I didn't have instructions in here, then I might tell it what the context is. I might tell it who I want it to act as. So I'm responsible for planning this offsite event. Please act as an event coordinator. Help me plan a team offsite. 2 days, focus on strategic plan. Okay, so I'm giving it enough information to do this just to help me kind of think through this. I'm like, okay, I've already written down the stuff I know to do. Look at this. Okay, there's goals. Wait, no, it's already built out the entire thing. It didn't even just help me. It like literally did it for me. Great. So what I can do now is I can look through this. I can say something like, I want to change things. I want to move things, but it's going to give me this overview. A logistics. Look, I didn't even ask it for all this. It's just like, let me help you. I'm going to help you. Do you want me to do some other stuff? So now I can go in here and I can tweak these. If I'm like, hey, closes at 5 o'clock. Nobody is sticking around till 5 o'clock. All right. Nobody will stay until 5 p.m. Make it end at 3, and everything after that is optional. Because let's be really honest, these people their brains are mush by 3 o'clock. All right. Oh, no problem. Look, I can update this. We're going to end at 3 o'clock. Everything past 3 is going to be optional and formal. Formal agenda ends. Here's some casual stuff that it's added in. And how cool is this, right? And then it could keep making me things. You know what? I need it to can you make me a flyer? Right? So like you can just start basically once you get it to kind of do what you want it to do, then you can start asking it for more things. And you can start, doing things with it, but just stay within that one chat. And then the last piece to this that I'll do to keep this organized is over here on the left-hand side, just like in other tools, you can click on these 3 dots. You can actually rename this. And even if you've got the free version, right? So you don't have projects. I know that everybody's into the projects, GPT and Claude, right? Guess what? You can turn this into your own project. Just rename it, save it, or you can push it to a page, and now you have a project. As long as you stay within that thread, you're going to be fine. Yes, Beth, I agree. Image generation has gone insanely well. So much better. All right, so all kinds of cool things you can do with it. Like I said, this is one of my favorites, is taking unstructured ideas. So those messy thoughts, just literally copy them down somewhere and then copy and paste them in and be like, hey, can you help me understand this? The other thing that it's really good is understanding gaps. So if I go back over here to my planning, I can just say, is there anything I'm missing? It says, well, you've covered everything. Well, I hope so, because I set you up as an event coordinator and you should know what you're doing, don't you think? But it's all right. It's all right. So, but here's some things that teams often forget. All right. So maybe you need to look at some of this, right? It's going to give you a gap analysis for whatever you're doing. Right? Maybe add some more structure to this, right? So if you want to run a gap analysis against anything you're doing, you can say, hey, I've got this much information. I'm trying to get to here. I need to know what's missing. Can you do a gap analysis? They'll be like, sure, no problem. I do this very, very often, this preparation one too. So if you're getting ready to do anything from show up at a meeting as an attendee where you're going to have to ask questions or answer questions, maybe you're going to be on the spot, maybe you're going to present, maybe you're going to lead something, you can also use it to prepare for conversations. So you can say, you know, help me prepare for the introduction. So let's go back. I'm going to go pop back over here. So can you prep me to lead the introduction on the first day? So all you have to do is ask it, hey, can you prep me for this? It's like, sure, here's a ready to use script with some facilitator notes. And I can read through this maybe, see how I feel about it. It says, here's some coaching notes. Here's some things to think about. Do you want a printed card that you could take with you? So remember those days you have to write all your notes down on an index card? It'll make it for you. You can print it out. I guys, on this screen, what you can't see is I have a cheat sheet for this entire presentation that says exactly what time, exactly what slide, and exactly what topic I'm supposed to be on. Everybody likes to say, you're just really good at all this impromptu talking. I'm like, it is very not impromptu. I have a presentation over here and I have facilitator notes on this screen. You just can't see it. And then I prep before everything. I do this exact thing. I just have it walk me through it. And I look to make sure that I am on the slide that I'm supposed to be on at this particular time. And if not, I just speed up a little bit or slow down a little bit, depending on where I'm at. It's pretty cool. All right. So I did tell you, like, you can refine it, all kinds of stupid little follow-ups at the end, right? Once it's given you the bulk of what you're asking for, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. You can make it shorter, simpler, ask for alternatives. Turn this into bullets. Oh, but still my heart. I'm a bullet point girl, right? What did I miss? I just showed you this one, right? We can change the tone. We can add depth or complexity. Hey, can you dive into this a little bit? All kinds of great refiners, all right? So usually when I do a training, I give people things to do. So I thought, you know, if you want to try some of this, which I'm sure, like, what's really fun is when I'm training and when I'm speaking on chat, like, you know, everybody's over here typing stuff in and trying it. All right. So I've shown you some of the things that you can do with this. But just a reminder is if you want to get really good results, be extremely specific about what you need. Give it context. Always, I think this is the thing that most people are missing when they do prompting is they go straight for the do this. Straight, do this, make this, give me this. Like, dude, get to know me first. Buy me dinner before you start asking me to do things, right? Give it context. Let it get to know you. Build a relationship a little bit first before you start asking it to do things for you. I promise if you do that, you're going to get a better result, all right? This iterate comment is no joke. So I tell you, I do it and then I iterate, right? I refine. Yes, I agree, Kathy. If you don't know where to start, just throw something in there and then be like, all right, what's next? Iterate. And like I said, treat it like a conversation, not a command. Don't tell it to do something for you. you can go in and push the button yourself. All right. This is where we're like, well, if ChatGPT or Copilot, if all it does is push buttons, then why do I even need it for? I could push the button myself. You're absolutely right. You can push the button yourself. You can write it out yourself. You can print it yourself. That's not what this is for. Treat it as a conversation, as a partner, as an assistant, as a collaborator, as a coworker, as a body double. Don't treat it like you're just commanding it to do things. And I promise you, if you treat it that way, I know it is not a real human being. Okay. It's not a real person. It really is an algorithm on the other side, but you will get better results. All right. So try really hard not to use, and I'm going to say vague, meaning, and it doesn't matter if it's 400 words or one word, but vague prompts. And don't believe all these people on the web that are like, here's my prompt and it's this long and it's better than a 2-word prompt. Dude, if all you need is 2 words to get you what you need, to use 2 words. The point is not about how long about it. The point is it clear? Is it concise? Does it give it what it needs to give you an answer? That's all that matters. It's not matter how big or how short it is, right? Size doesn't matter, all right? Don't expect perfection on the first try. Much like when you first make soup, might put a little too much salt in there. Maybe I didn't put enough, right? It happens. It's okay. Like you're going to get the hang of it, but you're just going to have to practice. I think a lot of people think, well, I wrote one chat. It didn't work. This tool sucks. Well, like, I mean, okay, like maybe give it a little bit more than that. All right. Never, ever, ever copy and paste out without looking at it. Never. I promise you, you do that one time, you're going to learn your lesson. All right. It's not going to do all your work for you, but it will get you 80% of the way there. And then you still got to tweak it. Just remember, in DevLand, we copy, paste, and tweak. All right. Same thing. If I go out and get somebody's PowerShell script, I'm like, this is a really cool PowerShell command. Copy, paste. And I never trust everything, right? I read through it, make sure it's right. All right. Yeah, that's a great one, Kathy. Clarifying questions. Yes. Engage with me. All right. Most importantly, if you're using the free version, all right, if you're using the free version, if you're inside your organization, you're safe. If you're using the free version of anything, I don't care if we're talking about Copilot or ChatGPT or Claude or any of the ones that are out there. If you are using the free version, do not put anything confidential in that chat. Don't give it your social security number. Don't give it your birthday. Don't give it your company's client information. Just don't do it. All right. Yes, Kathy.
And that's one thing I'll say for people who don't know, I was at Microsoft for 23 years. I have been through many Microsoft privacy reviews. They are painful. They should be painful. I have no idea what some of these other companies are doing with your personal data of any kind, but I do know at Microsoft, like, I'm not saying they couldn't trace it back to you, but there are so many checks and balances of how things have to go to unobfuscate data that is intentionally obfuscated that I don't worry about telling Copilot some of my deepest, darkest.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a great point. And, there's a lot of people who put a lot of stuff out at the beginning that didn't know better. And I get the feeling there's going to be some margin for error at the beginning, but everybody should know better at this point. So just don't do it. Keep it in your paid tool set or keep it in your M365 tool set. But if it's free, this is that whole, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Your data is the product. All right. You're paying in data or you're paying in money. You pick. All right. So this is that point, right? Make sure that you trust what it does, but you are actually the content expert. So it's going to amplify anything that you're thinking. It doesn't replace it. Show your resources, show your references, show your reasoning, ask it to explain how it came to that conclusion if you want to have a conversation with it. And I'm going to give you a starter prompt. Look at this. It's like Mad Libs. All right, there you go. There's your starter prompt. All right. It's like Mad Libs that you can take home with you. And yes, I did use AI to make this presentation. Thank you very much. I did also tweak it and verify it to make sure that it was right. Here's a starter prompt you guys can use. Basically, I'm in this role doing this thing. I need your help. The audience is this. Here's how I want to keep the tone. Try this and then iterate and see how much better of a result you get going forward than maybe something that you've been getting before. All right, look at that. On time, buddy. Any questions?
Sharon, it's like you're a professional at this or something.
Facilitator guide right there with times. Aw, thanks. It's like I talk all day for a living or something. Oh,
I just do my brain dump. These are just things that I've been asking like the last month. And you know, in a foreign language, they say when you start dreaming in the foreign language, you really know it. I dream in Copilot now. I mean, I literally had a dream. I woke up where I was kind of going through all this stuff. It's just become a change in how I think. And once I got that, and now I've gotten my husband doing it. I saw somebody else mention she got her husband doing it. Yeah.
So I'm like a first-time manager, and I had to do my first performance reviews.
Oh, this would be great for that.
It was fantastic. Just checking in, and like I was like even going like, I want you to make a bigger point of this that someone needs to work on. Rewrote it. I did copied and pasted, edited, and then filled out the different pieces. It was great. I'm also hiring, so I had it based off of an older job description and update it with a higher level of skill set. So it was invaluable, honestly.
Drops like a 2 or 3 or 4 hour task down to a 30-minute task.
It's amazing.
Everybody else using this?
Always proofread.
Always proofread.
Oh gosh. I don't even know how to write a draft anymore of anything. I'm just like, here, write this for me. Okay, change these words. I use it as a base to get started now, like because I have to do engage posts. So a lot of times there's announcements for Microsoft, and I'll like, take this web page and turn it into an. So I start typing it, and of course it knows that I didn't even put it in my personalization. It just knows that this is what I'm going to add. Okay. Oh, like, do you want me to just do this now for you? Yeah, please. Oh yeah, and take out the word user because we don't use that. We have people or something, but now I just wanted to start. I have to automate it, like find me stuff and start just making it news articles because you can like have scheduled things, and so I don't even have to like look for stuff anymore.
Yep.
I'm the blog. I troll the blogs like all the time, and it's like, okay, which one's this, and so save me a lot of time doing that.
Jennifer?
We've been using it for like taking our standard training curriculum. So we're custom Microsoft trainers. We don't just train from the MOS or their provided curriculum. And I have a sales organization that I've been doing a lot of training for. And so rather than just giving like, hey, here are my 10 classes that we do, I had Copilot write it with like a sales slant. Man, they ate that up. They loved it because it was obvious and easy. But I hate, like, I don't want to do marketing. I don't want to do copywriting, writing, learning objectives and descriptions and all the marketing lingo for it is the last thing I want to do. I just want to show up and train. So this has been just such a relief to not have to be creative, and we're landing more work because we're leveraging this